line, truther you became synonymous with orthodox, like a new orthodox set of beliefs. And I've been saying for a while that trutherism is a new religion, which really needs to be called out and excoriated. And making this move, moving in this direction, media exit takes the high ground away from the biblical framework here. Like I had actually said before, Bible exit, media exit. I mean, it doesn't mean that we don't accept any media or we don't accept any ideas from this or that particular scripture. It just means that we're not taking the total package, the entire package, the paradigm. We have to reject the bad paradigm at its core. Okay, so I'm here on YouTube. There's a link if you want to share it. I'm not calling anyone a fake truther, but you are one if you still adhere to the fake media generated reality, which upholds the entire war. The whole premise to anti-media network was let's go ahead and deconstruct the mainstream media lies, which the alternative media bounces off of, and which still inform the independent media. And if you're not willing to do that, then in my view, you are a fake truther. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say that you're a fake truther if, for example, you decide to believe everything presented to you by NASA, but you call out chemtrails. That's what I'm kind of getting at here, is that you can't really go halfway. I don't really think it works like that. And by fake, I mean you're propping up a known fraud. You're lending it credit. Opt out of it, you got to like apologize. Are you sure you don't want to use beta? Yeah, I'm damn sure. I can't figure it out. I've even tried to remove it as a default, and there it is, always there. It's awkward, it's cumbersome, it's obnoxious, and then they start removing, it looks like, features from the main user interface, the previous one, which kind of leaves us in a weird position of having to go back and forth. Okay, it's back on. Yeah, what a trip. Keep sharing it. I don't know what the hell that was. I should be back on Facebook in 6 days after my second, I believe, my second ban. And also, I'm looking here, and apparently you can comment right now, even though the video is still technically live. You can go in the comment section, not just the thing. Okay, so anyway, are you a fake truther? Let me add a couple of question marks. And as far as, what a truther is, like what, I mean, I don't particularly like that term. I think it's interesting how the media uses that term to destroy your credibility. So you can be a liar, just don't be a truther. But there are these self-proclaimed truthers who have all become somewhat thorns in my side. I was just kind of analyzing it today, looking at the last year, going over, what went right in 2018, what's gone wrong. And what I found is that like 2017, 2016, 2017, and then now 2018. So 2016, it was us against the Globies, and the Globies against us. All through 2016, 2017, there's a back and forth, starting debates, trying to instigate conversation. That's what the billboards were about. That's what interacting with the media was about. But then around the beginning of 2018, it really became more about flat earthers trying to stop people who don't fit their particular set of orthodoxies. So it's no secret that my opposition, and the opposition to the Infinite Plane Society, are people who believe in a dome and who are threatened by people who don't agree with them, which is a strange thing if you think about it. Because it's like, hey, look, if you're a domer, like let's take Human Sheeple, for example. He's one of the ones who actually cyber stalked me for a bit. Let's take him, for example. If he finds it problematic that I don't accept his dome and he's going to put resources and time and energy into me, why wouldn't that be better spent being put into people who still believe in the globe? There are many more of them. And this is what happens with cults. It's cult psychology. There is a lot of cult psychology at work here. When you have a small, insecure group and dissension threatens the integrity of the group, and people who become not just a part of it, but it becomes a part of them, they are the ones who really have the most to lose by someone questioning, asking questions. It's insecure. And so, more than anything, I think it's insecurity which has caused people to come against us. And all we're doing is saying we don't have enough information to come to conclusions. So, here's where I come up with the term fake truther. You are fake if your frame of reference has been provided for you by your government controlled media. It's pretty simple. So if you are, and by fake also I mean you're in the world of fake. It's not an attack on your character or your person. It just means that there's a clear distinction right now we can make between fake and real. Fake believes that there's a car flying to Jupiter and that David Hogg is a hero. Real knows he's a crisis actor, and the CGI film they presented us was just that, a movie. Fake and real. So if you're on the side that, well, these psyops are a thing, the media can't be trusted, except for outer space. I believe in Starman. Okay, well, you're still in the fake world halfway, and you have to be all the way out. You have to media exit, or you're in and upholding the mediated reality. You're a fake truther. If you think David Hogg is real, you're fake. It's that simple. And so we can start pushing this line, and we have to. Because the media, the mainstream media, government controlled mainstream media, we've never had a free press. They're the ones who are responsible for keeping the space program going in the minds of the masses. Why is it that billions of people had their beliefs reinforced by that cartoon with the little probe thingy landing on the Mars CGI sphere? It wasn't Elon Musk, or the space program specifically. It was the MSM and the entertainment, because it's all immersed. So you have the government, entertainment, media complex. They're the ones who are promulgating this stuff. It's also in the academia. It's taught in the schools, the public schools, the universities. So it's bigger. This mediated reality is held up by an infrastructure, which I've called the GAME program because I use the acronym in order to show how fused it all is: government, academia, media, entertainment, even religion. But religion, really, heliocentrism is a religion. So I've kind of taken the term religion out because people associate religion with spirituality when religion really is just worldview. Even even the idea of a model, like where's your flat earth model or globe earth model? These are both really just worldviews. Having a globe as your worldview means that you've accepted all of its priests, its timelines, every premise that must be set into place for it to exist as they describe. And when you accept it, you have to accept the whole picture. I mean, the whole thing. You can't cherry pick. This is why I love to look at the old lunar landing video, and I like to look at the video with Nixon talking to the astronauts on the moon. Just how goofy it is. Because you cannot opt out. If you believe in this thing, you've got to believe in all the goofy stuff too. You have to stare at the green screens and the harnesses and the augmented virtual reality and all the glitches and tell me that you accept what they're saying despite those glitches. This is why we are such a threat and a challenge to them, the ones who uphold the official system, because we're asking questions and they don't have answers. It shakes their faith. And I'm saying you shouldn't have faith in media for anything. And you have people say, I don't watch the news. I'm not mediated. Well, no, you are. You are living in the world that they defined until you are overtly contradicting it, because that's the default. It's the cultural and philosophical default. The default worldview, the dominant paradigm, is the one that's coming through the game program. It's wrong and it's foolish to think that your government and your entertainment, as in Hollywood, celebrities, the news entertainment, are separate entities. 9/11 revealed that. If nothing else, 9/11 should have revealed to you that the media on all sides work together. But then you have the fake truthers who don't understand how fake everything is, and so they still buy into parts of it as though it's real. So they think, oh yeah, people did die, terrorists did attack, Jews did this, Israel did that. And it's like, no, it's the that which never happened. So, here's a good example. Alex Jones, is he a real truther because he exposed Sandy Hook, caught a lot of flack? I would say no, because when Vegas happened, he called a friend of his who was there. He talked to a crisis actor and said, "Oh, it's real, folk, and it's worse than they say." Alex Jones starts croaking about how it's not just Stephen Paddock, but it's also ISIS and Al Qaeda and the Taliban, and they're shooting up all the hotels. But the media doesn't want you to know the Muslims are coming, so they're hiding it and making it seem like it was only that one concert. That was Alex Jones's line on October the 1st, 2017, regarding the Vegas shooting. So you can't call him a real truther because he gives the media the benefit of the doubt, which is to say something happened, but I think it's worse than they say, is his typical line. All these fake truthers do it. They say, oh, you can't trust the news. It's worse than what they say. No, if you are going the path of media exit and you understand what it is, you can actually say, no, it didn't happen at all. Not only is it not worse and exaggerated like Alex Jones and Richie from Boston might say, it never actually happened. I used to listen to InfoWars, and when Sandy Hook happened, I was under the impression that the guy played too many video games, he was on too many psychiatrics, and he was an MK Ultra wind-up toy sent to murder a bunch of kids to take away our guns, provide a pretext for gun confiscation. So I thought, well, the New World Order is pretty savage if they're willing to wipe out dozens of kids to score a few political points. And then suddenly I look at people like, Holder and Obama, and I'm like, these people are just straight demonic, devious, murdering kids to advance a political agenda. Now I know that perspective is fake. It's coming from a place of fakery because it presumes that what CNN was showing us was real, what those pundits are telling us was real. So you shift the burden of proof, and now we know how fake it all was. So nobody died. Nobody cried. They tried to look like they were crying, but it was just some of the worst acting we've ever seen. So my point is, Sandy Hook was not an anomaly. The more we go back, and this is what we're doing with antimedia.network, is we're examining every one of these major events, school shootings, mall shootings, hospitals, sporting events, etc., all of them, as well as celebrities who are involved, the props, the cliches. the disinformation agents, the reporters on the scene, the crisis actors. We're documenting all of it and deconstructing it. And I think that they have used the victims as sacred cows for way too long. So, oh, it's too soon. You can't question this event. It's too soon. Give the victims time to grieve. It's like, what do you mean? Give the story time to become settled history? There's no such thing as settled science. Despite all the pundits, besides all the what they might say, these ideologues like Al Gore, for example, it's settled science. Neil deGrasse, it's settled science. John Kerry, it's settled science. Global warming is settled science. There is no settled science. New information may disrupt it. Same with journalism. And yet, journalism is treated as settled. And so, fake news becomes real history. It aggregates and it's becoming history. And so, right now, it's like there's a divide between the people who believe in what they're told by the game programmers and those of us who have stepped outside of that arena. So, what I'm saying is that you are not a truther or on the side of truth if you're still carrying water for the MSM. I don't care if you know the space program is fake and the world is flat. If you still think the media deserves the respect to assume what they're reporting is true and real and not easy to disprove, then you're actually muddying the waters and you're doing their work for them. Look at this Alabama shooting at the mall. Totally fake. Story fell apart, makes no sense. Totally incoherent. That story has become real because the way the media twisted it. They threw in race and they said, oh, look, it was a black victim, white cop, Black Lives Matter shows up. And then they apparently exhumed Jesse Jackson and he gave a few words about disparity and racism among cops. And there you go. You have the communist mobs agitated to go march against another innocent victim, another martyr. But this martyr was a crisis actor to begin with. This was a drill presented as real. And so they've managed to use a fake mall shooting, like they always do every Thanksgiving, to make sure that even though they're not in school worried about getting shot in their classrooms, they're aware that they can get shot in the mall. The New World Order just wants to make sure that you are always aware that you've got a gun pointed at your head. You are in the theater of war. And that's how I look at it now. If you're in a room or a building where there are TV screens that are projecting their fake world, you're in their theater of operations. It is a doomsday cult. It is. It borrows, I mean, it not doesn't just borrow, it contains Jesuit futurism, end times prophecy. They've just redressed it as global warming, but it's the same cult. And you cannot separate the media that gives you the fake shootings from the media that gives you fake space. And this is the big divide here, I think. I would say that more than 75% of the people in flat Earth know and understand that Sandy Hook was fake, if not all of them. But a good percentage of them, three-quarters of them, still give the media the benefit of the doubt. And they don't question it until after it's been proven false. And when you give them that little bit of doubt, that little benefit of the doubt, that little tiny, okay, well, maybe it's true. Let's make sure just because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, that's when you are ceding victory to them. That's when they win. That's when you've given them faith. Why do you have faith in CNN? We know that these organizations are there to prop up a movie on the Globe Theater. We've seen their Masonic stagehands. We've seen these operations, how they work and how they completely are contradicted by the facts on the ground, but that their narratives are treated as unfalsifiable. And that's really where the problem is. And they can't deal with us. And so Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, has been talking about censoring us. When I say us, I'm talking about they have this thing, basically they have a pretext now to censor you if you're questioning these media events because of what Alex Jones has done. If you needed any more proof that Alex Jones was sent to sabotage the truth movement, here it is. Because Alex Jones so vehemently called out the Sandy Hookers, the media is saying that the Sandy Hookers have been getting death threats from his listeners. Therefore, and this is their argument, auto hoaxers are dangerous, volatile. And it's interesting, if you ask around, people have never even heard of these topics. Their only impression of an auto hoaxer is someone like Side Thorn journalist, conspiracy grandma, yelling at crisis actors, making violent threats, getting arrested in front of Vice HBO, being taken in on federal gun charges. I mean, how dumb is that? After investigating 33 shooting events. And then here we are 5 months later. It just turns out conspiracy granny who was with him is ordered by a judge to go into a mental home. So two of the most active auto hoaxers out there are now put away. One in a mental home, the others in serving time. And that's if they were real. From day one, I thought there was something a little phony about the two of them. Really, because how can you, this is what I'm saying, fake truthers. How can you go around to 33 different events, in 10 different states, 12 different states or something, going to these events and saying, hey, look, the Department of Homeland Security is running these drills. This is fake. Really, with this heavy anti-government vibe, like, oh, it's against the government. Yet these people, if you were to ask them, they have no idea about fake space. And I don't think it's enough anymore. I mean, at least not for us. For the Infinite Plane Society, our whole thing was, let's go ahead and break away, or rather outpace those who haven't caught up. If you're not willing to recognize that your mainstream media is the state church, then again, you're enabling the fake. You're a fake enabler. We could say fake truth, or I'll say fake enabler. All the believers in this stuff are fake enablers. If you take that same logic, because a certain flat earther who does debates did say that auto hoaxing is a sign of a weak mind, which is really a dumb thing to say, it doesn't make any sense. But I wanted to point out, are you not auto hoaxing when you assume that whatever SpaceX is shooting up there, it's not going to space? If you know that the space program is fake, all you're doing is examining what they're presenting and why. You're not having to say, well, wait, watch the propulsion. Okay, wait, double check the feed here. Let's watch the timing. Are we sure it's real? No, we're not even questioning it now. We figured it out. We know the magic trick. Once you see through a magic trick, it doesn't fool you again. It's sleight of mind. So we saw through the magic tricks that they use to convince people they're going to this magical place called outer space. And we no longer feel the need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe this time they'll land on the moon. I can debunk the moon landings in 2 minutes just by pointing at the pictures and the horizon line and comparing it with what Buzz Aldrin said about the horizon line, how bendy it was. Those pictures do not depict a surface 1/4 the size of the Earth. There are no miles and miles of craters going off into the distance. You don't see any of the features that you should expect to see that would be well lit by the sun. No, you got a closed movie set, pretty tiny, smaller than a golf course, 100% fake. And so they're probably already rendering all the videos they've shot for the moon landing and lunar colonies that's really that are just around the corner. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're still maintaining an exaggerated smallness of the moon. And that's what I'm focusing on. Because you can measure angles of shadows all day for 6 decades, and you're not going to change any minds. But if you point out something, not what they show you, because again, as with any lie or deception, it's not going to be revealed in what they show you, which is a carefully cultivated lie, but it's going to be revealed in what they don't show you, in what should be there but isn't, by what is conspicuously absent. So what's conspicuously absent in the moon footage? The moon. Where the hell is it? You have this little area, this parking lot, but where's the moon going off into the distance? It is not there. Okay, so my point is this. When they bring back the next phase of this moon project, they're going to have to keep it consistent with what they had before. They're not going to be able to show you a different environment, not without a really good explanation. But as I was saying, we know enough now to know it's going to be fake. Okay, so you can't say there's something wrong with auto hoaxing if you already know the next moon landing is going to be fake. I already know the next school shooting is going to be fake if it does fit this certain pattern and mold. Like, okay, look, someone goes into a school and shoots up a bunch of people, those kids run out the door. They're not going to go run to CNN. They have to go to the police. They have to go to the hospital. They have to give witness statements. You don't witness violent crimes and then go talk about it to CNN and give your full name. We've been uncovering so many of these fake events that, as I said before, if you're not auto hoaxing, you're not paying attention. And I really think that the vanguard of this truth movement is the auto hoaxer. It is those who have made the move towards media exit. If you haven't exited their mediated surreality, not just the space program, but the war here on Earth, including climate change and all the rest, all their pseudosciences, pseudo news, if you haven't left that, you are a fake truther, a fake enabler, and you're doing more harm than good. Media exit really is the key here. I mean, it always surprises me when I see people who are, known for discussing the flat Earth, and yet they still think characters like David Hogg are legit. Wolfgang Helbig thinks that David Hogg is legit. That all these actors they brought out, we know they're all actors. We know the event was fake, but I'm like, wait, how can you see through Sandy Hook and not see through Parkland? Were you not looking? Which is usually it. Or you listen. I mean, look, they're still bringing out deputies from Parkland. Another deputy being let go because you had these guys sitting around the back of the building during the shooting, and so people are asking, what are they doing back there? And how did we see him? Oh yeah, the helicopter from the news. So even though you have a school shooting in progress and kids getting butchered, the news chopper is floating above. How do we know the shooter's not going to lean out a window and take a shot at the helicopter? How do we know we don't need that airspace for, I don't know, a medevac chopper? Now, of course, the reason why we see these individuals lurking outside is because it's a closed movie set and they're making sure no one else gets in. That same exact argument was brought up after Littleton. Alex Jones said, look at these guards standing outside. They let it happen. Virginia Tech just found out the Virginia Tech killer is still alive. I mean, of course, there's a patsy. We know it's fake, but we've actually identified the guy. The guy who supposedly killed 33 people in Virginia Tech. He works for the State Department. We got a picture of him, I think, with Obama. I'm going to dig that up soon. But my point is, when that happened, during the shooting, the police were seen standing outside of the school, outside of the entrances, but not going in. 33 people were said to have died. It was a big deal. Alex Jones talked about what a big deal it is and how hardcore it was and how these are all Luciferian devil worshippers and everything else. It was fake. Anyway, he called it out and he said, why are these police standing outside? They were told to stand down so the killer could do his work. It was a black op. So what he did and what the fake truthers do and the fake enablers always do is they take the story at face value and exaggerate it. Oh no, it wasn't rated R, it's rated X and R. It's like way worse than they say. It's gory, it's worse, it's got elements of mind control. Like they throw in so much instead of walking it back. Whatever happened to Occam's razor? The most likely thing to be true is that which requires the fewest number of leaps of logic, the fewest number of extraordinary leaps of logic. I mean, what is really more likely? That 120-pound Adam Lanza kicked through down that window and had a 100% kill ratio and killed himself? I mean, there are so many red flags on these events that it's just like with the space program. You learn to debunk it. Learn to debunk the ISS. Learn to understand what you're actually seeing, and you can't be tricked again. Same with the, and so what I'm saying is that if you're still fooled by mainstream media psyops, guess what? You may as well go back to the spinning ball. It's no longer enough. NASA didn't fake the moon landing. SpaceX didn't fake Starman. Your MSM did all the work. Go ahead and please share if you haven't yet. Tweet this. I'm trying to get people back on board. This is our official channel. It's going to stick. I was dealing with a lot of issues of people flagging my stuff for copyright, and I learned how it works, how they were pulling that off, and we managed to fix it. I had to get in touch with YouTube Legal, so this channel is going to stick. Generally, it's going to start out every day like we normally do, just flat Earth report, going over the news of the day, having to do with that topic. And I'm going to move into taking calls in the evening, not to debate so much as deconstruct. I don't think that there's any debate with regards to the globe versus flat. And if there is, I mean, if you do, well, let's say you do have a debate, what is the point of having a debate with someone who believes in the spinning ball model and then you're positing that they're wrong? What is the purpose to debating these people if they're still members of the MSM church? If you're an MSM fundee, there's no point in debating you. It doesn't make a difference. And when I say MSM fundee, I mean, is your worldview informed by the MSM? And a lot of people say, I'm a free thinker, I don't watch the news. Bam, right there. You're in it then. Because that's the default. You're in it until you've pulled yourself out. You're in the MSM fundamentalist reality. You're in the game program unless you've media exited. You can't just say you're out because you're still in it if you're reacting to the stimuli they provide. So maybe you don't watch the news and you think that you're safe. You're like, well, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't, you're uninformed. I'm uninformed, so I'm safe. No, it's not really safe because when some bigger event happens, you're not going to be in a position to debunk it. So if you never watch the news and a 9/11 happens, what are you going to do? You can't trust it. No one's going to listen to you because you don't have really a way to disarticulate it. At least now we know. So, like, let's say there is an event happening, a shooting, a school shooting, or another terrorist attack. It used to be the case, for those of us who thought these things were real, that you'd be waiting for the news to tell you how to interpret the story. But what I like to do is um, follow it as it unfolds and try to determine, instead of whether or not it happened, knowing it didn't happen, but what is the purpose of them wanting us to believe it happened. And this is really apparent with the space thing. They are telling a story. I mean, that's what predictive programming is. There's nothing arcane about it. It's all just reality scripting so you react appropriately. So even if you never watch the news, when something big happens, you won't be able to refute it because you weren't actively anti-media. It is something that has to be challenged on the daily. And the reason why is simply your news every day becomes your history. It aggregates, and that accretion becomes unfalsifiable. I mean, right now, is Sandy Hook history? Is it true now? Because enough people believed it that when it's cited in a textbook as an example of what happens when kids play too much video games or weren't hugged enough as a kid, is that going to be used to warp the minds of students now? CNN is already, I mean, they all do it. They really do. I mean, they all have their own ways. Like if you watch CNN a bit, quite a lot, you're going to have an exaggerated sense of how bad gun violence is in America. If you watch Fox, you're going to have an exaggerated sense of how threatened we are by Muslims or by Mexico or by commies. If you're watching CNN, you're going to have a great deal of concern about space junk and climate change and how capitalists and rednecks and gun owners are out there. So, like we know religion is always synonymous with division and war. Well, guess what? Your mainstream media fundamentalist religion is very divisive, and it puts people at war against one another. Look at the elections. I went to a number of these Donald Trump rallies, and I just saw all the fights, and people were happy for it. They were, and I understand at the time I was like, yeah, please go punch a fascist. I thought it was a great thing, but then I realized now both sides are equally guilty of supporting big government. I took Trump to be nationalist, limited government conservative because that's what he said, or at least he was politically running that way. And so I thought, well, any move away from big government, from environmentalism, from that, because to me, environmentalism, of course, is just a cult. It's a eschatology. Global warming is a wrath of God replacement, and of course, your Armageddon has been given to you secular humanists and you atheists in the form of global warming, climate chaos, just more wrath of God disguised as wrath of globe. But we're following Trump or that party and the right. They see Trump as opposing big government because he's always saying screw you, environmentalists, not going to sign your Paris Accord. Nope, don't care about your global climate summit. So he always seems to be thumbing his nose at these eco-fascists. And yet he signs off on a sixth branch of the military, and he's all about the space program. So Donald Trump is Donald Musk, like it or not. Donald Musk. The space program is what the environmentalist movement is leading us to. That's what it's leading us to, and that's what it's ultimately about. Space is green. Space is green. If you're going to outer space, you are going to be giving up human rights, guns, property. You're going to be giving up meat. Whatever your thoughts are on meat and vegetarian, whatever, go into space, and the space program does mean you're giving that up. A lot of it's austerity. And of course, your lifestyle. Well, you're going to be restricting yourself to a small plot of land under a dome in an environment in which you cannot leave without a suit, a special pressurized suit. So now you're a dependent ward of essentially a fiefdom. It may look like Jetsons, and I'm pretty sure that the slaves raised in this thing will be given a lot of video games and pot and pizza pockets. I actually think that video game culture, the idea of sitting around in your basement with all your friends for hours at a day, packed quarters, eating microwave food, immersed in space environments for 40 to 60 hours a week, I think that's part of the space program. Did you grow up in a basement surrounded by a bunch of your friends eating microwave food that was handed down from, like, I don't know, from your mother down the basement stairs? So your food's coming from above. You're sitting in your little enclosure and you're playing simulated Mars games, probably smoke, who knows what. But I'm saying that is what the Mars base is going to look like. They have successfully blended science fiction and fiction and CGI, computer modeling, with science so that they will be, I mean, look, JPL hired a bunch of computer animation specialists for the Mars landing. How many times has Musk joked or talked or discussed the idea of a simulation reality, a simulated reality? Well, you can make the case that if you're immersed in a religious cult, you're in a simulation or a parallel or a surreal. Your reality has been, we'll just say, slightly compromised. Okay, so now you obey a different set of rules, you have a different set of ideas, and you have this in-group preference because outsiders are like this. So they put up this invisible wall. And so every cult is an enclosed system to the extent that they prohibit inputs from outside of the cult that haven't been through the cult's books and its filters. Your mainstream media is a huge cult. It's your state church. And so really my point here is that if you haven't left the state media, you're still helping the space program. Even if you're calling out fake space, if you believe the shootings are real, you're propping up the very institution that allows them to fake anything, not just space, but climate change. Early on, I talked about climate change when I first started this channel, 35 channels ago, because I thought, well, this should be a good starting point. This should be a good starting point because people who understand the climate change hoax know what fake science is. And there's no reason why anyone questioning mainstream pseudoscience to the extent that they would even go so far as to say that the earth might be flat, there's no reason for them, we, to be saying that global warming is real because we know where the data is coming from. Discover, Al Gore's satellite, the GeoSat, what they call it now, whatever they call it now, it's basically up there telling us that the ice caps are melting. The ice caps are melting because of your carbon footprint. There's a hole in the ozone. All this doomsaying, but it's coming from the same sources. So when the Flat Earth Society says not only that they believe in global warming, but that it's irresponsible not to, when they said that, I realized, okay, well, they're unsavable. No matter what their intentions, shill or not, they are fake enablers. So if you're enabling fake space by believing in it, you're a fake enabler. If you're enabling these fake shootings and these crisis actors to get away with it, well, then you're also a fake enabler. If you're not an auto hoaxer and you're an auto believer, well, then you're auto believing. You're automatically believing stuff coming from the mouths of known pathological liars. And the media as an institution is a pathological liar if, and we know this to be the case, if its primary objective is reinforcing a world view. And the term worldview is synonymous and interchangeable with religion. That's how I use these terms. So religion and worldview. So your mainstream religion is your mainstream media's worldview that they present to you, complete with its eschatology, its own sin, its own morality, which is really the social justice warrior thing. It's all the communal, collectivist ethic, very much political identity groups, where individuals who don't fit in are dangerous. It's not think and let think. It's pull everyone into the fold, and those who won't are derided for this or that. I mean, they really are trying to make a devil out of you. You don't trust the space programs, you don't trust science, you're dangerous. I'd like to get the clip and find out who exactly said it. It was one of the CNN pundits, and she said, these people who don't believe in school shootings, well, they're so extreme, they may end up shooting up a school. We should keep our eyes on them. So you don't believe in terrorism, so therefore you're a terrorist threat. You see what I mean? Or you don't believe in good and evil as defined by various religions. Well, now you're an evildoer. Now you're wicked. Now you're an infidel. Not believing means that you are wrong and need to be fixed. You're not a cleared Scientologist, well, then you're a suppressive person. Every religious paradigm has a way of elevating the insiders and demonizing the outsiders. And so right now, I think the auto hoaxer is demonized. Conspiracy theorists are laughed at for the most part, unless they're right-wing conspiracy theorists. See, left-wing conspiracy theorists are never mentioned because their conspiracies are the accepted orthodoxy, like global warming or school shooters. Now, they don't deny terrorism, but they blame the right wing for it. They blame capitalism for it. They say it's a justified reaction to what we do. So, for example, Bill Nye the Science Guy was asked, what do you think about the San Bernardino shooting? This was a couple of years ago when this Muslim couple shot up 14 people at their Christmas party in San Bernardino. Now we know this to be fake. In fact, it's so obvious on this one. The landlord let the media go into the apartment where the shooter lived and look through their stuff. Oh, is that a pipe bomb? I mean, it was so fake. But they said, "Hey, Bill, what do you think about that?" And he said, "Well, that was caused by global warming and your SUVs." And the interviewer's like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you're driving big trucks. You're causing the world to overheat. The overheating is causing droughts in sides of the world where these people live. So they have their ancestral farms have become affected by drought because of your global warming. So they moved to the cities. But guess what? There's no jobs because of American military interventionism, which ironically is there to get their fossil fuels, which caused the weather to dry up in the first place. And so they're easy recruits for ISIS who points the fingers at you and they come back and they retaliate." That was Bill Nye's logic, if you want to call it that, where he was able to take what was presented as a mass shooting, a Christmas party by Muslim extremists against Christians. He turned that into, oh, no, no, this is caused by capitalism and it was deserved. Seeing the BLM and Jesse Jackson stepping in on the heels of one of these psyops just shows the utility of these things, how useful they are for agitating. And so all those people who have a real legitimate grievance against the police, against institutional racism, against innocent people being shot, no accountability, there are legitimate grievances here, police brutality, etc. But now their legitimate grievance, their good intentions are being used against them, against their own interests, because now they're being agitated to march against what? And the more credence, the more credibility, the more prevalent these big shootings and the political fallout gets, and which it's pretty big right now. It's like the main news all the time is like, what happened now? Who got shot where? The less tolerant they're going to be about those of us who are questioning these things. Do I got a link to the Bill Nye? Let me find it for you. Bill Nye San Bernardino. It was picked up, I think, by Breitbart. Okay, let's see. Why Bill Nye the Science Guy wants to go to Mars. Now, he's the president of the Planetary Society, by the way. Okay, so Bill Nye, San Bernardino terrorism shooting blames global warming. That's what I'll look for. Here we go. He may have done it more than once. You know what? He's done it more than once. This is funny. Here's one of the links. This is another story. This is from the Washington Times. Bill Nye, the Paris attacks are the result of climate change. San Bernardino thing, but now he's also said it about the Bataclan, which we know coincided with doing mass casualty drills. One moment, waiting on the Washington Times. This is new to me. Waiting for the Washington Times and their stupid ads, which is another point. They don't just make their money when they run these psyops. They really load up their sites with ads because they know they get a bunch of traffic. Okay, listen to this. Scientist, they don't even put that in quotes. Bill Nye says it's a very reasonable argument. Were caused by terrorism. Hold on a second. Again, this happens all the time too. It seems like after a shooting, they load up their sites with a lot of ads after a big psyop event because they know you're going to be over there all day searching and refreshing. And so to them, it's just cha-ching. So right now, I want to read some words on a screen. I don't need a bunch of videos and ads. I'm not shopping at the moment. So it'd be nice if I could just read the stupid article. Here we go. I really had a fight with them over that one. Uh, Again, not interested in these ads. But yeah, this is the second time that I've seen it now. He says it's a very reasonable argument to credit climate change with the terrorist attacks. He blames the Islamic State's recruiting successes on water shortages. He says it's very reasonable that the recent trouble in Paris is a result of climate change. In his book Unstoppable, he discusses this. Let's see. There's water shortages. Oh, there is a water shortage in Syria. This is a fact. Small farmers are abandoning farms because there's not enough water or rainfall. The young people who have not grown up there, who have not had their whole lives invested in living off the land, have gone to big cities looking for work. But there's not enough work for the disaffected youth, so these people don't believe in the system, and the system has failed. They don't believe in the economy, and so they're easily recruited by terrorist organizations, and they end up partway around the world shooting people. He made the comments the same day that President Obama claimed that the climate change conference in Paris is an act of defiance against terrorists. Even Obama does it. You want to fight terrorism, fight climate change? And all the while, the real terrorism is coming from the media using the climate to terrorize you, in addition to everything else. It's like, hey, if you don't fix the climate, you're going to get shot at by Muslims, but it's not their fault. It's your fault because you drive an SUV and you're a capitalist. I mean, they just heap it on. Bill Nye, again, quote, you can make a very reasonable argument that climate change is not that indirectly related to terrorism. It is related, and this is just the start. The more we let this go on, the more troubles that there's going to be, because even though we stamp out the terrorists, everybody's leaving their farms because of water shortages, and that's a big problem. Fascinating. You know, they call him a scientist. He's an actor. What was his degree in? Media studies, communications. Here's a link if you haven't heard it. I can't play it here because I'm not on OBS, but I'm going to play it later. Worst flat Earth debunking attempt ever by the Health Ranger. And his argument was pretty simple. He said, in fact, I might actually be able to share it. Let me go ahead and test this out. Yeah, Bill Nye is a mechanical engineer. I thought he's like a something like that, but scientist. He's also a comedian. Below, I'm posting a link to this. I'm going to try something out really quick here. Share screen. And I should be able to share sound, right? Along with that. I haven't really used uh, the Google Hangout because of the sniping that happens. Just seems less secure. Okay, so I am presenting my screen, and now let me see if it also plays the sound. Z-Proxy says Health Ranger is on InfoWars every so often. Oh yeah, I mean InfoWars is so fake and compromised. Oh, they are fake enablers, fake truthers, 100%. So below I'm posting. Okay, is it playing the SoundCloud I got? Okay, so the Health Ranger is saying if water droplets were discs because of a flat Earth, that's his argument.
It would rain like little razor blade discs. It would cut you to pieces when it's raining. I'm pretty sure that rain doesn't cut you to pieces. Rain is survivable because there's spherical drops. Spherical drops. What?
Okay, did you all hear that? I want to make sure that you're getting my audio here.
Like little, if water droplets.
Did you get Health Ranger's audio where he's talking about the water droplets? Okay, did you all hear that? If not, I have to upload this separately. This is good.
Or did.
It was quiet. It was quiet. You could hear it though. Okay, well, you know what? I'll just upload it separate. But anyway, his argument is that we know the world is a sphere because if the world was flat, raindrops would be flat and they would be like razor blades and they would chop us up. I mean, that's the Health Ranger. And I guess he's a scientist too, like Bill Nye. What an argument. Like, please show me anywhere where water can be used to cut. Um, well, I mean, I don't know. This is like what he's describing is absurd, obviously, but that was your Health Ranger. And then, yeah, he is definitely a contributor to the InfoWars. And InfoWars is fake news. They're fake truth. It's like, who's calling who fake? You know, when the media calls them fake, he calls them fake. Well, look, they're all bouncing off the same green screens. All that's happening is he exaggerates how bad things are. Or they go with a certain bias, he goes with another bias, but they're equally fake enablers. So again, if you're not auto hoaxing, you are a fake enabler. And if you are a fake enabler because you've accepted the media as a trustworthy institution, worthy of you giving it the benefit of the doubt, then you're not just a fake enabler, you are a fake truther. And this is a line that we do have to draw in right now, I think right now more than ever, because there are many efforts being made as we speak to censor or at least provide the pretext for censorship. Now, it's not going to be overt government censorship, but it's censorship the same. It's community, it's TOS, it's recourse being removed from the situation. So you get your channel taken down because of some things that you said. You really don't have any sort of legal recourse. You're kind of screwed. So what we are doing with this whole concept, auto hoaxing, is recognizing that what we call auto hoaxing really is the vanguard of the real truth movement. We're the only ones truly exposing the fake. That is, without a doubt. If you're not auto hoaxing on the Psywar, not just the shootings and the terror attacks and the climate change, but all of it, if you're not deconstructing it, but you are deconstructing the space thing, you're auto hoaxing the space program, well, then you're still enabling lies. One foot in the matrix. So the answer now is media exit. If you have any sort of doubts as to why that would be necessary, go to antimedia.network and see what we are working on. It's going to be, well, it already is right now. It's a wiki, but it's going to be a hub. And this Wikipedia is going to be really the central hub of this decentralized group of independent researchers, real time deconstructing mass media lies and putting it down as a record to contradict the fake history that is being written for us every single day. We're not letting them get away with it. And if you are an enabler. If you let them get away with Parkland, well then guess what? You're a fake enabler. And we really don't need to tolerate fake enablers in our midst. And interestingly enough, 99% of the people, in fact, I'd say 100% of the opposition we've had has come from defenders of the lie, whether coming from the globe or people who are even flat earthers have become fake truthers and fake enablers. And a lot of it's because of political correctness. They don't want to look like they're cold hearted for calling out crisis actors. They fall for the fake tears and the fake blood, which does result in real tears and real blood because you have the candlelight vigils after the fake events. Very evocative, and people always cry. And then American Blood Services comes out, and people donate blood for the fake victims. So it's like, oh, cool, look, you faked all these people out, and then you got gallons of blood and a lot of tears. So the fake enablers actually do create real change, and it's not for the better. These fake events have real world consequences. The growth of environmentalism, envirostatism, ecofascism, the growth of Agenda 20, all this stuff is predicated upon the blind belief of the faithful and the ideologues in what they're being told by this new secular priesthood, the priests of pseudoscience. So you can reject the pseudoscientists, but if you don't reject the pseudo news, you're still in the matrix. And that's the main point here. Pseudoscience, pseudo news. You have to exit both. You have to criticize it from the outside. And it doesn't mean turning it off. It means deconstructing it. It means anti-media, not non-media. It means instead of being misinformed or uninformed, it means you're informed. And that's all we're doing. We are remaining informed in a society awash with mis and disinformation. Please subscribe, share the channel. This one's going to stick. I will be back on. Have a nice day.